And that's right. Someone who is keeping an eye on these protests is local Congressman Kevin McCarthy, and he joins us tonight in the studio.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. All right, you've heard the protester out there in the Southwest. What are your thoughts about what she had to say and just the protests in general?
Well, they have a right to protest. And if her protest is about accountability in government, I'm with her 100%. If the protest is against the framework of what's created this country from a free market and liberty, I don't support that. But what goes to the heart of why they're in there is the TARP bill. I oppose the TARP bill. This idea of government being so large and government doing so much and taking the rights away. It's a growing frustration in this country of the economy that we have. And that's the fundamental thing that we have to change. That's what they're talking about. I think that's what we should be talking about. But more importantly, this country is so divided. At times when we are. I think there's a time we need to come together to overcome our challenges. We faced big challenges in our life, from World War II, from others. This is a challenge before us, but how we're handling it is wrong. We are still the largest economy in the world, the greatest form of government that people can protest, people can engage, change their government without a single shot being fired. We still don't create refugees, we still accept them. Now let's face this challenge and solve it. And I think the fundamental thing we can do is empower the individual. Go to liberty and freedoms, empower small business, get people back to work, instead of government being so much in our lives.
Well, you mentioned small business. I think a recurring quote that we keep hearing in these protests are about corporate greed. And Republican candidate Herman Cain was quoted earlier this week, I believe, as saying, if these protesters are mad at anyone, they should be mad at themselves because they don't have a job or because they're not rich. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think you can't blame them not having a job. We've got to be out there and work the economy. I think the frustration has to be is what has government done to hold back job growth? And when you look at Herman Cain, I mean, here's an individual came from a small group, been able to rise up, become a CEO. Hard work. Hard work goes a long way in this country. And if people are just looking for a handout from the government, it's not going to get there. I mean, I think the fundamental thing, government's there to devise to help those that need it, but not for a lifetime. It's more important to get out of the way to let small business be able to grow. And the entrance to market has become too great. So you got this economy that's fallen apart. And they've got a government that's not being held accountable for it. An administration that continues to do a stimulus that they already spent $1 trillion on that failed.
All right, let's switch to high-speed rail. You've been saying for months you're against it, at least in its present form or with this present economy. Now you took some action this week, introduced a bill to freeze federal funding for high-speed rail. Are you against it as a concept or just in the current climate?
I'm not against the concept. I'm against that federal government's going to pay for it. I mean, one thing, if government's going to invest in something, it should have a business plan. They don't even have a feasibility plan out there. Is it going to come to fruition? For the voters, it said the state would pay for it. The state's never gone out with their bonds. And can the state even afford it with a $25 billion deficit? What school are you going to cut to be high-speed rail? Are there enough riders for it? Are we going to subsidize everybody who gets on the train? And is it feasibly to be built? There's supposed to be private sector money involved. There's been no private sector money involved. So should the federal government continue to pay for it? That's the question I have. And if they're looking to the federal government as a representative of the people here in the federal government, I said the federal government should at least go do a feasibility study to see if it's a good investment for us. And that's what my legislation says. No more money. We will do a study and analyze those factors that we think are important.
Okay, real quick, the Republican field is now set for next November.
I think it is.
Who do you support?
I have not endorsed any of my. I think this is going to be wide open, and whoever gets it needs to compete for it, and compete for it on the policy. Look, from the same reason why those people are out there protesting, people at home are frustrated. This country needs a change. This country needs a vision. This country needs a leader. And the worst part about this is, normally in divided government, we've done big things. Ronald Reagan had Democrats in power and reformed the tax code and rebuilt the military. Bill Clinton had Republicans in charge, balanced the budget, had a surplus, and reformed welfare. This president is playing class warfare. It's time for this country to come together, set a new path, and have a new growth.
All right. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Good luck back there.
Thanks.
See you again soon. Well, we are